Welcome to another edition of Wings Weekly. Jake Klein Connect here, along with head coach Steve Jennings. Coach, before we jump into the weekend, which we will here very shortly, I wanted to say congratulations to Mason Kelly. Of course, the Wings Community Service Award winner, but then it was announced this last week, that he won the North American Hockey League Overall Community Service Award. So that is really cool.
And the division, right?
Yep.
So it was good to get the team one, the Division One, and the League One. It was great.
So again, congrats to Mason. I know we've had him on, and we talked a little bit about how much it means to him to be able to give back to the community and stuff, and obviously that he is very deserving of those awards, and congratulations to him. Very cool.
Really proud of him.
Yeah, for sure. Friday night, a 5-4 overtime win. You're down 3-1 at one point. You come back, strong second period there and a solid third. You had a penalty shot. You had a shorthanded goal. You had just a lot of pieces of hockey that a little bit something for everybody in that one. And then Mr. Playoff overtime game winner, Kyle Gaffney, comes up with a big. Like I said, overtime winner there, but it seems like something he's getting used to doing as a wing. Last year, he came up big too. So a nice win overall. Like we talked about on Saturday. Obviously, a coach is never going to be completely happy with the full 60-plus minutes in this case with overtime, but overall, a pretty solid night. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot to do. It's road hockey in the playoffs, right? And emotions are high for both teams, and you gotta fight through the lows and maintain the highs. And I thought the kids did a good job with that there, and I was pretty happy with the outcome. I was a little. I'll be honest, I thought we could have got that done without getting into overtime, but they broke us down there in that one shift, and we found the back of the net, and it is what it is. So we find a way to push through. So it was good. Well, you had the 1-0 lead there and an opportunity to make it 2, but unfortunately a 6-2 loss. On Saturday night. Power play was 0-4. PK was perfect. PK was perfect on Friday night too. A single-digit shot on goal in both the first and second. Overall, outshot 36-26. It seemed like every time you guys would get some momentum, you score a goal and it's a 3-2 game or whatever, and it just seemed like every time that you start to get things swinging your way, boom, they'd bring it right back. And it was like it was just trying to build but couldn't quite get going on Saturday night. A couple of tough breaks where pucks went into our net off of our players, and that's playoff hockey. That's the reason why you throw the puck to the net. And we had a tough night getting our momentum and sustaining momentum there, and that's something we'll work on this week. It felt like to me, and maybe I'm crazy here, but it felt like they were just a little flat on Saturday night. Like there just wasn't quite as much energy as there was on Friday night. The physicality, didn't seem to be quite as big of a factor, or maybe I shouldn't say factor, but big of a component for your team. It seemed I was a little surprised that St. Cloud came out. I'm not surprised that they came out with the energy that they did, but the swagger that they had, I kind of looked at them like, wow, I didn't really expect that after getting pushed to Game 5 in the first round, and then you guys, beating them there on Friday night. They kind of it felt like they had a little swagger there, and like I said, maybe even as far as the energy side goes, it was tough to match. Is that off, or is that? I mean, I don't know that I think our response to some of the challenges that we faced wasn't as good as it's been, right? So probably made it look that way. I think it's playoff hockey. Everyone's going to have swagger. If you're in the playoffs and you don't have swagger and you don't have belief, you shouldn't be in the playoffs. Right. So I don't think that was anything really different. I think our response to some of that needs to be better. I think when we gave up goals, I think we did some things that have lately been uncharacteristic of ourselves, where I think it just took us a while to get back under our feet. And so I think our response to adversity needs to get to be a little bit better. And I think that will certainly be helped when playing here at home this weekend in front of a real crowd. Will be great with a genuine atmosphere. I think that's going to help us a lot. Yeah, without a doubt. Now, hopefully, a full house here at the Odde Center. We'll get to some of those details coming up here in just a little bit here, folks. If you look at Saturday, I guess, individually, but overall as a weekend, what would you say is the one thing that you'd like to see improvement on? Is there one thing that you can?
I'll be honest. I kind of have a list of a few things, and I don't want to give away everything.
No.
I mean, I think we need to generate more chances from the middle of the ice, and I think we were a little bit too perimeter at times, and therefore we weren't getting secondary chances. And I think we just have to be that. And I think we actually need to be a little bit more physical, despite the complaints that were coming about us hitting them. I think we need to be a little bit more appropriately physical, right? And I think. I think there were times, especially on Saturday night, while we're trying to get things going, I think we were passing on opportunities to finish hits or things like that. And it's not being dirty or anything like that. It's just not trying to pick the puck off their stick and get going, but just stick on puck and play through the body. And I think that does two things for us. It ups our confidence. It actually shuts their plays down, and it lets us play more our game.
Sure. All right. Well, again. Big weekend coming up, and we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit too. But obviously, we're looking forward to having a great crowd at the Odde Ice Center. The other series around the league, right now, after Saturday anyway, everybody was 1-1. Then a Sunday game for Anchorage. They end up with a 2-1 advantage right now. But all throughout the league, there's some very even hockey that's being played. Were there any surprises from the weekend that St. Cloud kind of threw a wrinkle or anything at you guys or do you feel like as far as preparation goes, are there anything that caught you off guard? Maybe that's the best way to put
I don't think they made any dramatic changes to what we've seen from them and what we expected to see from them. I just think they were fortunate with some puck luck at times, and we weren't maybe getting that same puck luck. And you don't win or don't lose just because of that, right? So there's more of the game around that. But I think there wasn't a dramatic change to their game, and I think when you look at the entire regular season series, and now even through this weekend, we're a dead 500 set against them, right? And I think we match up pretty well. I think we just need to play our game consistently, and that puts us in the best spot to succeed against them.
All right. Well, Coach, that's really all we wanted to talk about was the breakdown of the games. I've got a bigger kind of interesting second section coming up. Session, one of those two words.
Segment. We'll say segment.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for. So we're going to cut this one a little bit short, but a big second portion of Wings Weekly coming up right after this.
We raise the bar on bar food with sandwiches, tenders, and burgers. There's more where this came from. To the greatest of all time.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The second portion of Wings Weekly continues on, and this is a Wings Weekly first. Both coaches on at the same time. And one of the reasons why is we're making sure we give an opportunity for the players to prepare and didn't want to bother them with taking some time out of their day. But also I thought this would be kind of fun to get a little perspective about the working relationship that you guys have and if there's any differences in opinions or things like that. So I got a few questions for you guys. I wanted to start with how you go about getting things started at the beginning of the season. You become the head coach. You're looking for an assistant coach. How do you find Zach? How do you come across his name and decide, all right, I'm going to give this guy a call? And then I wanted to hear Zach's perspective on what that phone call is like when you first find out that you're being considered. What goes through his head. So if you would start, how did that process work?
I mean, it was fast for sure, right? So had to go through kind of people I run into the rink. So I've been in the rinks for a long time, looking at players, but it also gives an opportunity to meet staff and see people around. And, I also try to pay attention to how people work and who's a worker and maybe somebody who's a little bit, might say, more social. And so Zach had been at an event I was at, and I was pretty impressed with how he worked. And then as I started to use my network to identify people who might be a good fit, one of them was a guy with the Nashville Predators, and he was talking. He had sent me an email and said, if you're looking for somebody, here's a person you probably want to take a look at. And then there's another person in my network who had been at an event with Zach as well. And that was before I'd been hired, before the transition was going on here. And the note I got from him was, if you're ever looking for somebody in a capacity like that, this is a guy you really want to get after, right? So a couple different ways, but you find it out. And honestly, I didn't interview a lot of people, as it came down, I knew we were late in the process, and Zach was pretty much my first phone call of, are you interested in the job? And I think we moved pretty quickly through that.
Networking. Tell you what, it's all about who you know, folks. Zach,
It's not about who you. It's not always just who you know. It's also how you work.
Yeah.
Right. And the one thing is, as a new staff, you need a worker, and Zach's a worker, so that's a good thing.
Zach, what was your reaction? When you get that phone call? Were you like, was this like, what goes through your mind?
I think it was a little on the surreal side from the timing.
Yeah.
Like I was gearing up for my guys were coming in when I was coaching in New Ulm. Like my guys were coming in like a week and a half. So that part, getting that phone call completely makes your head spin because the loyalty side starts to kick in.
Sure.
Right? But at the same time, from a career standpoint, like I had my great experience here in Aberdeen back when I was with the Chippewa Steel, getting our butts kicked. So, but because of that, I knew how well run this organization was run and all that stuff. So when I got that phone call, it was surreal. And then with it happening so quickly, I guess I would say I was pretty excited that it happened so late, so that they couldn't vet anybody else.
I never thought of that. Good point. All right. Well, I know obviously we've got a big weekend coming up, and we're going to get to that in just a little bit. But I wanted to see, in your guys' opinion, what some of your highlights have been. This is a question that I ask players all the time. Like it doesn't even have to necessarily be an ice-related event. It didn't have to be a game or whatever. But what would you say a highlight for you has been over the course of this last year?
I can start. I mean, I've been through, just in the last four or 5 years, been through a bunch of different jobs and different things when I got done playing. And I think a big thing for me is just how well we're treated here, from ownership group wise, and then just like the players that we're bringing, the players that Steve has brought in, especially over the years, but this year getting to see the guys that he's brought in, guys understand how well they're treated, and that there's expectations that come with it, right?
Sure.
So the best part about it is being able to focus on your work and not having to deal with a lot of other, I don't want to necessarily say drama, but outside influences that you don't have to deal with because we're treated so well and we have good people in place to handle those types of things. It allows us to just do our job.
Okay.
You kind of stole my thunder a bit. I think the highlight for me, honestly, has been the entire year. Right, this is a relatively inexperienced group at junior hockey, right, at this level, and watching the progression and growth of this group has been really good. And then seeing things, seeing Cade Nielsen put together the year he did, and some of the other guys coming in and having again their years. I thought, Will Gilson, coming in and really stepping up. Like those individual growth things have been really great to see, and that development. And just when you stand and look around the locker room and at the stalls and kind of the kids who are here and think about what they looked like in August when they came versus what they're doing right now. I mean, the growth of this team has been really good. And, one of the things, I guess one of the things I'm probably most happy with is like, our performance on the special team side was pretty strong through the year. Particularly on the kill, right? I mean, it was a really strong performance by that group, and those guys who did that have done a really good job. And I think that watching them learn how to do it, buy into it, and really become good at it has been really important for us, and we want to keep that going for sure. Okay. But I will echo Zach, right? Like our ownership here is really good, and they do set us up for success here. It's good, and we don't talk about it a lot. I always feel like we don't need to talk about it a lot because for a lot of people it's pretty obvious. But our kids are treated well. They're taken care of. And I think we don't have situations where we're worried about kind of what's going to happen when we come into the rink tomorrow, what will or won't be there. What we need is here. It's not always exactly the gold-plated thing, and frankly, at this level, it shouldn't be. Right? The kids need to learn how to work, and I think it's great. And I think the Odde family does a tremendous job, and I think Greg, as an owner, is, like anyone, wants us to succeed and has expectations, but he also doesn't limit our ability to get to what he's expected.
Sure. All right, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit and go, okay, so when you bring Zach in, you guys we know each other a little bit, whatever, but every relationship, working relationship, whatever, is going to have some growing pains. Now, other than him not understanding your movie references, what have been some growing pains that the two of you have experienced?
I mean, I just think it's about learning to work together. I think that's any new relationship. There's that little thing. I don't think we had tremendous growing pains. It was more a couple of times when I did something that he was looking maybe to do, or vice versa, right? Trying to clear the air afterwards. But I think we kind of lined it out pretty clearly what we were going to do. I think, one of the things I really want to get better at is, I'm older than him, right? I came in a different generation, so maybe expectation-wise, I'm a little different, and coaching and developing the modern player is a challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the things that may have motivated me, frankly, just don't work. When you overpressurize things now, it kind of tends to shut more of these kids down versus what it was, right, when I was in high school or at this age, right? So I think Zach has been a really good reference point for me to go, okay, this is what I want to say, and I know I shouldn't say it this way because it's going to come off the wrong way. I'm going to lose the ears in there, so help me get through that. So that's been a thing that he's frankly helped me a lot with, because I do tend to come from the harder side of the street, and there are times that he certainly hasn't softened it. He's helped me get a hard message across in a more appropriate manner that connects with this generation, right? Which is a challenge.
Well, and we're going to actually transition into another question coming up in regard to that. But I'll go to you first, Zach. What would you say were some of the more difficult in that whole transition? What would you say were some of the things that you were, I don't want to say an obstacle, but something that was a little bit hard to get used to or whatever?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was before coming in was the mental side of it.
Yeah.
Just because knowing Steve's background and just the teams he's built, and being, military and with the Navy and having that background, I'm going to be honest, I came in thinking I was going to be up at 4 a.m. going to work every day. So once I got here, it was really refreshing, because he does have the hard side to him from the work side of things, which I have no problem with. So that part wasn't that difficult, because I love being at the rink. So, but also seeing that he does a really good job of finding the fine line too, of allowing me to have a life. And, I've worked for people in the past that you're on my time until, and both as a player and as a coach, you're on my time and it sucks to suck. Yeah. So he does a really good job of letting me have both work and home life. And then the thing that I think he helps me with the most is, because he comes from the harder side of the street, the detail-oriented side of coaching. I'm a big picture type thing, and I like working with the guys and seeing everything come together. But the day-to-day details that allow you to get there, he's helped me learn how to do. Because even as a player, I was a guy that don't really know who I'm playing, don't really care. Tell me when to get on the bus, and I'm going to play it how I play every night.
Right.
That's kind of how I did it. I didn't go into much of the analytics, so. Now as a coach, you have to go into all of that, and he's helped me learn how to do that very efficiently.
Well, and Steve mentioned this, like I said, this transitions into another question that I had, which was about the obstacles of coaching and how you guys have dealt with them. But it's something that you and I actually talked about away from the rink at some point, about it being a generational thing across the sport, about how dealing with players has changed. And you were mentioning that it's not, it's at the collegiate level, it's at junior hockey, it's all over the place. There is a kind of different approach. And when these players leave from juniors and go to college, it is a little different, because the college coaches are not going to have quite the relationship that a junior hockey coach would. And like I said, we kind of talked about that, and I found it interesting. But it also goes to your point about how, again, even 10 years ago, it was different. You could ride a player without having to worry too much about how they reacted. But is that something, as he mentioned, that he's been able to go to you with maybe softening a message or whatever? How do I want to put that? How do you see that? From your perspective, do you think that he's a little too hard sometimes, I guess is what I'm kind of trying to say? Or you have to go, whoa, coach, that's not.
Yeah, don't fire the bullet too early.
I was trying to beat around the bush a little bit. Yeah. And then I thought, I'm just going to rip this Band-Aid off.
I'll try to go in order here. So from the generational piece, the nice thing that I have at my age is I went through both. So when I got through high school into juniors, it was more of the, get whacked in the back of the head and brighten up, and you just went out and did the work, and it was whatever. And then you get to college, and it started to switch a little bit. And even when I got into my first year after college, it was way more player-coach relationship type stuff. But from the standpoint of being too hard, no, like he's hard in the right way. It's not. I've been around people that aren't hard in the right way. But he has expectations, and these are how we get to the expectations. So he does a good job of laying it out. He doesn't have the I'm right all the time and do what I say or get out of Dodge. He doesn't have that mentality. And so that's why I think the guys, especially this inexperienced group, has done a good job of buying into that. And that, as you see, that's why we're in playoff hockey right now and doing a decent job. But then there's times where, maybe the switch gets a little bit more flipped, and that's where he does a great job of not going right at the players. He does a good job of staying off to the side, and that's where I can come in and be like, okay, what message needs to be passed, and we can talk it out. And by the time we talk it out, it calms down anyways, and he doesn't really need me. So sometimes I can help during that phase see some other sides of it, and it's probably sometimes annoying at times having the optimistic guy on this side, and then vice versa. There'll be times where I'm super mad and he'll be the optimistic guy, and you hate those people when you're really mad. So we do a good job of balancing each other out that way.
Yeah, good working relationship in that regard for sure. Well, and it is because I thought that was a really interesting point, something that hadn't really occurred to me, and I always think that it's interesting too because oftentimes the assistant coach is the one that is more in touch with the locker room, and the head coach will be a little more standoffish or so on. But I think in years past, and other coaches or even other organizations, I found that usually the head coach always has an open door policy, like if there's something needed. But the day-to-day ribbing and that kind of stuff is usually the assistant coach. So I just thought it was interesting to hear your perspective on that generational. I don't want to say problem, but it is changing.
I mean, I would say it goes just back to that open door policy with Coach Jennings is very open door. Like the relationship is there. Guys trust him. They know that he cares, and that's the big thing with the generation is just they need to know that you care, and then they'll trust you. It's not walking to the locker room and he's my elder and I'm going to listen to you anymore. And so the trust is built, and I think he's done a great job of having the guys trust him.
Steve, would you say that there have been times where you've felt a little bit like, again, maybe I'm beating this to death, but is there ever a time where you're kind of looking at something going, this is ridiculous. This is not how I would have done this, years ago, as far as being, he's over there nodding, but because, you see somebody, I don't want to, again, I'm being careful how I put this because I don't want to offend anybody, but a lot of people in today's society want their hand held. They want to be patted on the back constantly, and sometimes the older generation are like, you know what, just pull yourself up and go do it. Do you ever feel yourself getting a little frustrated with that at times?
Yeah, I do. Yes, 100%. There are times when I will go into Zach's office and say I had some very red thoughts when that was going on, but you keep it going. I went to a coach's clinic several years back. There was an NHL coach in there talking, and he did a great job of actually, it helped me a lot, right? Because he said, this is the why generation, and if you don't want to talk about why, you need to start thinking about getting out of coaching.
Interesting. Right?
So if you can't explain, right, and it's not asking people to do it, it's just, if you think about, kind of how kids are raised, a lot of stuff gets explained to them in great detail all the way up. So if all of a sudden you just cut it off and say, because I said so, right, which is what my mom did, and that's
because I said so.
And that certainly worked. It's just not generationally what happens. And so by explaining some of that, then eventually you build the thing where at this time of year we can say, because I said so, and just go do it, right? But yeah, it's interesting, right? And if this group has, I think, done a good job of maturing and starting to understand some of the why, and then also understanding now it's actually just time to do, right? Which is good. So
Very interesting. Again, it's just all about how players are treated and how it's all changed over the years. I thought that was an interesting part of your guys' working relationship too. So I'm going to catch crap for this, but I got to ask you a question that I ask players too. If you could be a superhero, who would you be?
This is right up my alley.
And Steve's over here like, I don't know what the heck to say to this dumb question.
So by superhero, we got to make something clear here. Are we talking like can Iron Man and like the Marvel characters be a superhero, or are we talking people that are like? Because this is a real thing. Because I'm gonna go into Iron Man mode on you if it's not.
I don't know, and I can't answer that. I just mean a superhero like Batman, Superman, Iron Man, whatever, Hulk. Yeah. I don't know.
I have to go with Iron Man because not only is that a great superhero, but also that Robert Downey Jr. plays it to a T.
I knew I was going to regret asking this question because I know nothing about any of this, the Marvel stuff.
Marvel universe is kind of up my alley.
Superhero?
First off, this is a stupid question.
I'm so excited for this answer.
Good Lord. I don't know. I've never really fantasized about being a superhero. So, how about this? I'll just go with. I'll go with the Hulk because there is that angry guy that comes out every once in a while. It's probably who I kind of am, and I do get to Hulk smash and don't poke the bear kind of mode, right? Zach, that's part of Zach's thing is helping to kind of keep the Hulk at bay. So yeah, I'll probably say that because when I get frustrated, my Irish comes up, and yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, now after the levity, let's move on to the serious stuff, the real serious stuff, and that is that this season is by far from over. Big weekend coming up. You know Coach Millen is going to have his guys ready to go and, eager to play. They've got 2 games now, we know that for sure, Friday and Saturday here at the Odde Ice Center. What do you guys see as keys? Now I know I'm not asking for secrets. I'm not asking for the special sauce, as you said, or the secret sauce from McDonald's. But just what do you think that what have you got to do? What have you got to do to come away with some wins?
Well, you kind of are asking for this special sauce recipe, but it's okay. We'll forgive you. 1,800 people in the stands. Last home game, can we please have that again for 2 nights, right? Because going into an atmosphere where you're playing junior hockey, there's a crowd, there's not piped in noise or people trying to pretend to amp up a crowd. That's what makes this place special. It's you come out the doors here, out into the arena, see the packed house, and they're all behind the wings, and they're wearing Wings gear, and the town's going would love to have that because that's truly what makes Aberdeen such a special place to play. We hear that from the colleges when they come in to recruit our guys. We hear it from the visitors when they come in to try to see if Aberdeen's the kind of place where they want to go play. And the amount of kids who've said, wow, I went to this other place and they were they said they had a big crowd, but they didn't have a big crowd. I think that's an important part of what makes Aberdeen special and what we're looking forward to this weekend here. I think for us, we want to certainly have some better puck luck, but that's earned, it's not given, right? So we want to just play a complete game, I think more like we did on Friday night, more like we did in that Austin series where I thought we were really just kind of consistent with our game. And I thought Saturday there were times when we got a little inconsistent with our games and we were pressing too much. And I think we need to get out of that press mode and just kind of go back to playing good wing hockey. And I think that's going to be important for us.
Zach, would you add anything to that? Obviously, we're again hoping for a huge crowd. I know that was fantastic the night the lights went out in Georgia. But it was just insane to see that crowd. So we know that was a big component for sure, and we're hoping to see that again. And from a special team side, or what do you see as some keys? Yeah,
I think just to reiterate quick what Coach Jennings was saying, I think the 2 things he talked about kind of go together too. From that Saturday night game, I think our overcoming adversity and stuff that we've shown we can do all year, that gets amplified when we have a building like that. Right, and so some of the things that happen maybe Saturday night in a quiet building, you got to create your own energy on the bench. When we're in the Odde, that energy comes screaming from the fans. Yeah, and then that's where we can start to build. So I think those 2 kind of go together, and what we're looking forward to on Friday. And then special teams wise, I think our special teams was good power play was good against Austin. We were getting some goals there, and then, we got kind of stymied Friday night by not having a power play. And then, we didn't produce on Saturday, and I think that just kind of was an overall game thing, not necessarily a power play thing. And I think when, you look at how playoffs has gone so far, and we're on a 5-game winning streak, like, what goes up has got to come down for one, and now you just build back up. Yeah. Like, you're not going to go undefeated through the playoffs, and if you do, good for you. But use this as a learning opportunity and a little kick in the butt, and we get right back on the horse in the Odde.
Absolutely. All right. Well, again, this is the first time I've ever had both coaches on. I thought it would be interesting for people to see a little bit of the dynamic and how you guys work together and how you work together to achieve the ultimate goal, which is a couple of wins here against St. Cloud and to move on to the Robertson Cup Finals and Championship. So that is what the goal is, folks, and we sure hope that you'll come out and cheer on the Aberdeen Wings. Guys, I really appreciate you taking some time to talk with me here, though. And I know, like I said, I know you're just as busy as players preparing, so I know how much that your time means. So I really appreciate you joining me here.
Yeah, thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, folks, Game 3 and 4 of the Central Division Finals take place this weekend at the Odde Ice Center in Aberdeen here, of course, against the St. Cloud Norsemen. Doors open at the Odde Ice Center at 5:30, both Friday and Saturday, and the puck hits the ice at 7:15. On Friday, we welcome Fusion Services as the game's corporate sponsor inside the Automax Party Deck. Plus, fans can stick around after the game for an autograph session in the lobby. Corporate barstool seats are available in the Automax Party Deck for Saturday's game, plus the small birthday suite is available both nights. Call Aaron at 605-380-5852 for details. Tickets are on sale now online at tickets.aberdeenwings.com. You can also get $10 general admission tickets at any Sea Express location in Aberdeen with additional purchase or at the door on game nights. Looking ahead, the 2022-2023 season tickets are available. Call or email Aaron Smith to grab your seats. Don't forget, Wings Weekly is now a podcast. Find the audio for this season's episodes on Spotify, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio. And for all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit AberdeenWings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Once again, coaches, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck against the Norsemen coming up this weekend.
All right, thanks, Jay.
All right, folks, that'll wrap up this week's Wings Weekly.